Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. We are once again back in the car, which means that we actually made it out of our homes and to a movie theater. The movie that we went to see this weekend was last weekend's film, The Beekeeper, starring Jason Statham and a variety of other actors, including Jeremy Irons and Josh Hutchinson?
Yes.
Yes.
That sounds right. The guy played Pete in the Hunger Games, right?
He did play Pete in the Hunger Games. He's played a lot of roles. He was in the FNAF movie.
That was him. That's true, yes.
So he's been in a couple more films. He might be.
He's a really good actor.
He is.
I actually really like him.
Yeah. Anyway, did we like him in this film though?
Yes.
How much did we like him in the film in general, DJ? 1 to 10.
I'll give it an 8.
Okay. Personally, I give it a 7.5. So why an 8?
7.5 is what? Okay, yeah. I kept thinking 7.5 in my head, but there's a reason I gave it one extra half point. So the other two films we watched this year were
rip-offs of this film that didn't come out yet.
Rip-offs of this film that didn't come out. Yes, we watched The Painter and the Bricklayer.
Yeah, the lead man.
And we watching those two films before this one is an interesting experience because now I'm seeing what it's riffing. I watched the covers before I saw the original, and it's an interesting.
It's true.
Yeah, it's just weird. So, just a couple quick points. I just really enjoyed the film.
Okay.
Cinematography, technically, like, it's well shot, well done, choreographed really well. The fight scenes, the just general like atmosphere of the movie was just fun, entertaining, and kept me going through it. The reason I gave it actually a little bit higher is literally just because of how entertaining it was on top of those technical things. It was just a lot of fun. I just really enjoyed it. It might be a little biased because I watched the other ones first. That's why I mentioned that, because it felt so much better than those. It didn't feel fair to get closer to it. It seems a little unfair to base a score off another film, but I don't know, when you read the riffs of something before you get to the original content, it gives a little bit of a kind of a.
It makes it seem a little bit better than it.
Yeah, it biases
itself.
a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe later in the year I'll think differently, but honestly, I just had a good time.
It's fair. Personally, I give the film a 7.5 because the choreography was amazing. All the action sets are really good, but any Jason Statham film that has him doing action is done really, really well.
That's true.
He does what he does, and he does it really good.
He's technically just technically correct on everything. Yeah.
Exactly. So it looks good. It's stereotypical action. The shots, like the film, the way that they shoot things, can be unique and interesting, but for the most part, it's kind of what you expect out of a standard issue action film. The scripting can be a little rough at times. Some of the dialogue points seem a little bit odd, especially depending on who is delivering the lines.
I can see that, especially towards the beginning of the film.
Yeah, the beginning of the film, the script's pretty rough, but then as the film goes on, things kind of like they're like smooth out, filter out, or you just get so used to how awful it is that you're just like, okay, this is just how they talk.
I think the best film I can give it an example to would be like Avatar, where it's visually stunning, but there's not really anything below that. This is similar. It's visually stunning, but it's kind of skin deep. But it does deepen as it goes. It just takes a little too long to get there, I think.
That's fair. But otherwise, the score's kind of meh. Like, we don't usually give like extra points for score, but this one's pretty unmemorable.
I usually actually don't either. That's a good point, but I do usually mention it because score does.
Well, if it's
matter.
Impressive, it's worth noting. Yeah, this one just didn't really have much of anything. The film is very stereotypical action. That's kind of why I bumped it down a little bit, is because it's fun, it's interesting, it's entertaining, but it is 100% a stereotypical January action film release. It's not the best that you're going to get all year. It's not the most interesting film that you're going to get. It's not what the studios are caring about for award season or for the visual season.
No.
It's not what they want to release at the end of the year to get you back into the theaters. It is a beginning of the year, here's kind of what we have, low budget, but
and it's also high in that revenge porn where it's like, what sucks you into the movie is the content, like what it's about. A lot of movies will do this, especially in January time when it comes to an action film. Like they'll have Taken is a good example of that, where it's a pretty simple, straightforward movie, but the content makes you care. This is like that. What it's about makes you feel for it. And in spoilers, we can kind of hit a little bit about that, but that I think is the biggest pull of this movie is. Like,
the film has a really good hook at the beginning that pulls you through. And it doesn't feel like you're being dragged through. It feels kind of like a natural progression. It's a well put together plot. Recommend for in theater? Streaming?
I would actually, just because it's kind of fantastical. You made a kind of a point. There's a couple of points where like the explosions are very CGI. So on the theater screen, that was a little more noticeable. But the atmosphere felt really intense in the theater. I think that would be, or unless you have like a really good setup at home, the sound and the ambiance, it had an effect in the theater. I think
they do a good job.
Yeah,
like, the sound quality in the film is amazing. Actually.
Yes,
like kudos to that. Like a lot of the action punches, they feel like they got hit hard. And then they have different action stuff that they're doing that they actually put the little sound effects and stuff in it. So kudos to that. I think that you do benefit from the sound system at the theater.
But action films, I think in general, theater worthy for that one point alone. The sound. Like when you have a fight scene and you're having connections, you heal them, you feel them. Like it's atmospheric.
Yeah.
It's a little different than when you're watching it at home. So
that's true. So you do benefit a little bit from the cinematic experience. You might want to wait until the tickets are a little bit more discounted than like prime time, best screen that you can possibly put it in. But it is worth going to the theater to see, and if you don't see it in theaters, it's worth renting for sure.
I would definitely pick it up. If you don't see it in theaters, give it a shot.
Yeah, definitely. With that, I think that we have covered everything that we usually do with the beginning part of these. If you like these reviews, we do them every single week. We do a section just like this where we talk about the film, goods, bads, regular score, but then we also get into spoilers and stuff. So if you've already seen the film, or if you don't care to see the film and just kind of want to hear our further thoughts, you can continue to stick around after we start our spoiler section. And like I said, we do that every week, so please like this video, subscribe, let us know how we're doing in the comments below. What were your thoughts about The Beekeeper, or are you interested in seeing this film due to our review? We always appreciate your guys' feedback. And with that, spoilers. Spoilers, 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 spoilers.
You have been warned.
Spoilers. I cannot believe that halfway through the film, right after he starts taking out all the scam artists, it turns out that the Beekeeper organization is run by none other than famous YouTuber Kid Boga. And he is taking down all of the scam artists in the world with the beekeepers and Jason Statham as his enforcer.
Oh my gosh. It's perfect.
But yeah, this film is actually really well done. The twist at the end, like, I kind of saw it like 10 minutes before. But the fact that it was only 10 minutes before says something.
So, I knew what was coming, but I didn't know the scale.
Yeah.
The two biggest twists in the movie that caught me off guard were that it was the president. I was thinking the governor. They even early on they kind of hinted at governor's orders, like we're stamp. Like they had. I knew it went up there, but I was thinking Governor of Boston, like Governor of Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Yes, but no, all the way to the president, straight to the top. That actually made it stereotypical.
Yeah.
But the way they set it up made it think they weren't going that way. So it's like it was very much, that makes sense after the fact, but there were so many red herrings. It did a good job of pulling me astray. So that was the one.
Yeah.
The other one was that when he shot the son and immediately left.
That's true. Yeah.
They were all certain that the president was the target. And the whole movie is spoon-feeding you that the president is the target. But after that moment, I realized backtracking that there were hints to it, that he was paying attention to his targets.
Yeah.
Because throughout the entire movie, he's fighting people, but he only kills certain ones. Mm-hmm. He left all of the FBI guys out in front alive. He left all. You could tell when he was climbing up the stairs in the mansion and shooting everybody.
Yeah, he's hitting them like
he was
in the armor.
hitting them in the armor, but he was killing the mercenaries.
Yeah.
So he was taking out the mercenaries, but he was leaving the agents alive. He was very, very like Batman-esque in his judgment. And when that moment when he's like, I have 4 kids, he's like, I know. And he mentions exactly who they were.
Yeah.
He's like, he's not just a robot doing this thing. He's been very careful to understand the links in the chain.
Yeah.
So his target was always the son, not the mom.
Exactly.
But you're still not sure about it until it happens.
Exactly. And the way that they hype it up and stuff like that, it sounds like everything's just like moving a certain way.
So that were my 2 big points. What about you?
I like the fact that Jeremy Irons was kind of like hyped up to be like the big bad guy, but it's 100% just Josh Hutchinson.
Yes, where he was like, you're like, oh, he's a bad former CIA guy, and it's like, no, he's honestly just trying to stay out of it.
Well, and the other thing is that I thought that he was like simping for the mom. I thought he was just like, I'd do anything for your mom just because I love her and she's like my boo kind of thing. But then it turns out it's like, no, she's actually like president of the United States. So you kind of want to do right by her because she gave you the job and she's the most powerful person in the world. You know, like
there was one other one that actually surprised me a little bit. I was happy about was that the corruption wasn't to the top. The president and the FBI guy were not. She was convinced that they were going to like be in on it. Yeah. And I wasn't necessarily convinced. I just didn't give it that much thought because I was walking through with it. Yeah. But dead on true. Like you almost expect in a movie like this, it goes all the way to the top. The president's, oh yeah, I was the bad guy, sucker, and I'm here to end you. No,
I knew everything.
She's like, I had no idea, and I'm gonna go public with this. I'm gonna be honest about it. Yeah. And then the son turns and then kills the FBI guy. Like that whole ending, like from right at that climax, is all like just red herrings and left turns, and you're like, what is happening?
Yeah. No, it's a very, very well put together plot. Like it hits a lot of the tropes and stuff like that, but it's a fairly unique enough concept that they do it very well and they do the genre itself justice.
Yes.
That's the things that I have to praise it for. Like it kind of falls just because, you know, quality and how far they lean into tropes. And I'm not gonna lie, Jason Statham at the very beginning of the film is very, very wooden. The beginning of the film does not do the rest of the film favors.
That's because I think it's like Statham was like the example of like a really good like action man. Yeah. But not necessarily. But he's done non-wooden acting. Like I've seen him act. No, so I'm thinking that the character was designed to be incredibly bland. And I'm kind of seeing where the bricklayer and the painter get it from. Yeah. Because they made them really soft, bland characters that actually have like this deep past. That's fair. But what's funny about this one is that whereas those 2 films dive heavily into their motives and past, well, and this one doesn't touch it at all.
That's true. Like the painter and the bricklayer are the fact that we can't even remember them and we watched it last week. But the fact that like the painter and the bricklayer really lean into the trope of ex-CIA person goes back and it's all about his past and stuff like that. Right. We joke that it's like a ripoff of this film because we thought that's what this film was going to end up being like. But it's like, no, he is a retired beekeeper, but it's not about his past. It's literally about his neighbor got scammed and she killed herself because she literally lost $2 million from a charity organization that she ran. She had no more money left. She had nothing left to give her daughter. And so she just hit rock bottom and took the most drastic action that she could. So that triggers him to go after the person, and he just uses his skills as an ex.
It's a lot closer to Taken than it is actually to those other 2, where it's a personal vendetta that they're using the skills they earned to complete. But that having been said, just like Taken, it's with the mission. And Taken, his past was all about like doing this kind of thing, saving people from trafficking, stuff like that. That's what he did. This one is very similar. It's the Beekeeper organization is all about restoring order, and that's what he's trying to do. It's more personal, but he's still doing the thing that he's supposed to do.
Yeah.
So it was kind of an interesting little take on that whole character trope. I enjoyed the twist of it. There was, like you said, a lot of tropes, a lot of Fallout orders, but it was enough different, especially towards the end, and it ramps up. The beginning, I think, is where you're right. Like, if the beginning of the movie, he wasn't so, like, I hate to say it, but now I kind of understand a little bit why the painter, like, showed flashbacks early. They were trying to, like, get you to commiserate with the character, but this one, it was more about the lady.
Yeah.
It wasn't about him. It was about his friend, someone that he knew was scammed.
Yeah.
So his past doesn't matter as much because it's not personal because of something that happened back then. It's personal because of something that just happened right now.
Exactly. Well, I had a thought and it ran away. Okay. The other point that I have, last point that I have, is the reason that the score dipped so much for me is literally because this film, as far as dialogue and acting, is almost entirely carried by Josh Hutchinson's acting.
Yes.
Jeremy Irons is actually very, very stiff in this role, to the point where it's kind of hard to tell exactly what his motives are.
I think that was done to hide his motives, but it ended up being a little mechanic.
Yeah, it just kind of felt like he was there and they just wanted him for his voice, and he was so bored with the role that he barely did his own voice.
His best moment in the entire film is towards the end as well, when he starts to really show his fear.
Yeah.
And he's lost all, like, and then he starts trying to talk down the Beekeeper, and they have, like, this conversation where he's like, he's leaving him alone. Like, he was like, I have nothing against you. Like, that was, when you started working for him. But he even understood that I understand that you didn't do it for malicious purposes. Like, you're not a bad person. You really believe you're the good guy. You just lost your way a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm not after you. I'm after him, the one who did it, the one who knows what he's doing.
Right.
And it continues. I kept thinking throughout the film, if the kid had stopped his organization and shut it down, he probably would have left him alone. Probably. But because he kept doubling and tripling down, he's like, he left him alone. He went back to his beekeeping after he took down the first one. He only went after them because they didn't stop.
Exactly.
If he had stopped and backed down, he would have let him go. His point was, you learned nothing, so you have to go.
Exactly.
And it was really well done. Like, it was all show, don't tell.
Yeah.
Which I love.
Yeah. So, anyway, that's our review of The Beekeeper. We went and we gave you guys the score, the discussions, and, of course, those juicy spoilers. If you like this review, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, share us with your friends. We go to a movie every single week. We try to pick ones that are relatively popular so that you guys know whether or not to go to the movie right away or wait for streaming or whatever it is that you guys want. If you like our opinions and things like that, please check us out on Facebook at Entertainment Rebooted, or watch some of our other shows that we drop every Wednesday. We watch bad movies, old movies, and just talk about movies in general in a podcast form.
So we like film.
We love film. So anyway, you guys, thank you so much for watching this video. We'll see you guys in the next one.
Thanks for watching.